How about now? Can the virtual folks hear us? Cool. Griselda, where are you? Saw Griselda. There she is. Can you just wave to everybody? I think everybody needs to know that this is the lifeblood behind all of our communications for the entire year. We had something, a bit of a science project to figure out at the beginning of the year. ASCE, the society level, thrust upon us a new communications platform called Thrive. It was the replacement of Constant Contact, which is how we've been getting the word out to each of you for many years. But it's a whole new system to communicate, to e-blast, to create event registrations and process payments that are actually cheaper than what we were paying at our older vendors. So huge undertaking, a lot of volunteer hours, thanks to Griselda, but we figured it out this year. And all of you are here, and I'm assuming you paid for lunch and have the right to be here. So it's working. So thank you, Griselda, for that. One of our other goals this year was to create a new committee around a new event to raise money for scholarships. So this was led by Chris Dulac and about a handful of other volunteers to create a pickleball event. And we did that in May. Raise your hand if you were there or helped plan or, yeah. So we had some good participation from the group and raised the equivalent of a whole scholarship in our first try. So considering the fact that we only give out like 1 to 3 scholarships a year, that's a big deal. So I think you have something to be proud of. Also, I'm going to borrow one of these. Everybody gets to walk away with one of these flyers today. Do not leave it on your table. You have to take this back to your desk. You have to open Outlook. You have to evaluate. What am I doing next Friday? And I'm standing away from work next Friday. We are so close to achieving our headcount goal for our signature revenue generating event, our continuing education conference. We've got about 60, 65 or so registered for the event. The room holds 100. Our goal was to fill up the room. We're not there yet, but the good news is we paid for all of our expenses. We're going to do well on the event financially, and it helps pay for all of the things that we do throughout the year. So if I can convince 5 or 10 of you that are here today to actually do something about it and register and come and have a full day of PDHs, we got just about every interest level covered. We're going to do that much better on the event. So really encourage everybody to sign up for that. Augustine, Wade, this is your idea. Coffee chats, brand new idea. To network for free on ASCE's time. And we've been doing this for probably, 6 or 8 months and attracted a really new young crowd interested in getting involved in ASCE. So brand new idea, and we're doing it well. I hope to see that progress into next year. Texas State, this is a huge accomplishment for our student community. They actually formed a new student chapter. And we've been dreaming of supporting Texas State for probably the last 4 or 5 years. They came to us, asked for some money to send them to Vancouver for an MSE wall competition. And we were happy to meet them with that request, and they went and competed internationally. So a lot to be proud of there. Let's see. Oh, last accomplishment for the year I'd like to recognize is our YMF group created a new award. Is Ana Maria Torres here? You all know Ana Maria Torres? Well, she's their first recipient, so I'd just like to recognize her in that group for that. And we've got a great lineup today, so I'd like to kind of pass the torch to announcements. We'll install officers and then have our keynote. Thank you. Well, we give just a little round of applause for Tyler and other way these segments are through.
All right, so next up, we're gonna do officer installation. So if your name is listed here, please come up to the front. And Susan as well, yes.
Great.
Do you mind giving a little introduction about yourself and the leadership positions you've held with ASCE over the years?
See. Hi, I'm Susan Roth, and I've got my own little consulting business, Susan Roth Consulting. Gosh, I've been here in Austin almost 30 years. In fact, this is really special. I was president 20 years ago for Austin branch. That feels like an eternity ago. And so it's so fun to come back. And I apologize that I haven't been here in a while. And I was like, gosh, I need to get back to coming to Austin Branch. You guys just have just an amazing just programs and outreach and everything that y'all do. And I'm a past president for Texas section, and now I'm the Region 6 governor. And so it's just an honor and a pleasure to be here. And so today we're going to go through, as you know, ASCE Nationals, we have just a prescribed script that we go through with installing the officers. So I'll just take a moment here and we will just go through this. But as far as before we install the officers, the branch itself, all of the guidelines are in your bylaws. And so we follow according to the bylaws that have been adopted by the Austin branch. And I think y'all updated y'all's back in like 2018. So we're going with that version. And at this time, I'd like to just quickly list off the officers. We've got incoming president, Kat Lauer. We've got past president, Tyler Doobie. We've got president-elect Augustine Berengia. We've also got vice president, Austin Messerly. We've got secretary, Cassandra Prince. Section director, Catherine Smith. Younger member director, Matt Ball. Treasurer, Andrea Bryant. Treasurer-elect, Griselda Quintero. And communications director, Michael Chavez. Okay. Election to a position of leadership in a volunteer organization is an honor and a unique responsibility. Your fellow members in electing each of you to your respective offices have given you their trust. They have expressed confidence that you will be able to discharge your various duties with effectiveness and distinction as officers of the Austin branch of the American Society of Civil Engineers. You will represent your membership to the citizens of this geographic area. As a civil engineer, you've dedicated your professional and technical knowledge to the advancement and betterment of society. You've pledged to do your best to participate at the highest ethical standards of professional engineering conduct and to serve the public above all other considerations. Do you pledge to uphold the governing documents of the American Society of Civil Engineers and those of the Austin branch? And do you, in the presence of your fellow members, pledge yourself faithfully to discharge the duties of the office to which you've been elected to the best of your ability? If so, please answer, I will.
I will.
Very good. And now, will all members of the American Society of Civil Engineers please stand? I'm sorry, I'm sure some of y'all are still eating, but if y'all could just stand. You've heard the pledge of your officers-elect. Unless they have your wholehearted support, they will not be able to fulfill their pledge so faithfully given. Do you therefore promise to support your officers as they guide the Austin branch through the coming year? Will you assist them whenever you are called upon for help in undertaking the various activities they plan? Thank you. Will you encourage and advise them and refrain from unjust criticism of their plans and actions? If so, please say, I will.
I will.
Let these mutual pledges be your commitment that the American Society of Civil Engineers may be an increasingly greater force for the well-being of all citizens of the world whose lives are impacted by our civil engineering projects. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, thank you for your participation. You may be seated. As the delegated representative of the President and Board of Direction of the American Society of Civil Engineers, I now declare each of you officially installed into the office for which you were elected. My congratulations and best wishes to each of you. At this time, past President Tyler Duty, will you please ensure the gavel is handed over to President Kat Lauer? By this symbolic act, the authority and responsibility of leadership is transferred to you and the other new officers. Congratulations. Say a few words.
I just wanted to say it was really wonderful having Susan here today. Excuse me. I met Susan when I joined the Texas section a couple of years ago as our Texas section director. It was really special. As Tyler was speaking earlier and reflecting on the last year, I just wanted to say how grateful I am to our board and to our committees for all the hard work they've done this year. We had this vision where we wanted to expand our membership, and I think they did a fantastic job. From the coffee chats, we saw all these new people come in we got to speak to and think of how we could really expand our programs here at ASCE. With the pickleball tournament, we saw new people who are now on our boards and committees for YNF and ASCE. And this year, as we go forward, I really want to continue that, try and bring in new members. And I invite you all to bring with you someone new to our next luncheon, to our next event, to continuing education. And I just want to thank you, our members, for showing up and for your involvement. Thanks, everyone. All right, and obviously, if you want to take over, should I hand it over to our contingent again?
See you on the air.
I was hiding, sorry. Okay, y'all, we're just a week over from an amazing event next Friday. It's gonna be held at the City of Austin Permitting and Development Center. It's an all-day continuing education conference, and we are going to have an amazing slate of speakers. We're gonna have a very diverse group. Some of you all know some of the speakers. They're gonna be repeats, but some of them are gonna be new. We're gonna have everything from bridge design to pavement design to why geology matters to engineers. We're also going to have some ethics. Ron Riker, this guy is amazing, and he's gonna make you laugh. Maybe even more than the other guy, the ethics Jeopardy guy did. Also, we're gonna have COA floodplain updates, as well as Jorge Morales. He's gonna be our keynote speaker at lunchtime. So we look and hope to see everyone there. It's a different venue this year. In years past, we've done it at the Pickle Research Center, but we thought we'd give this a try. And we sure hope that it works out well, and maybe we can do this again. And just a little foretaste of what's coming. We're gonna recycle this. Well, not recycle it. It's gonna be another creation. But we're gonna do this event instead of fall next year. We're gonna go back to our normal spring. So stay tuned for that.
So, here's just a little quick peek at the schedule too for the event. As you mentioned, we've got a pretty good lineup here of different speakers, and we've already seen some good sponsorships for our breakfast and lunch. If you want, you can take a quick picture of this. Also on the back of your program is a QR code that will lead to all these links as well. And then thank you for the sponsors who have already committed to support this program. Next up, I want to give the microphone to GarzaEMC, who's our sponsor for the meeting today. Kat, are you going to?
Sure. All right, y'all get a little bit more of me. Yeah, I want to thank the company I work for, GarzaEMC, for sponsoring today. We are a land development and public works team here in Austin, and in South Austin, as well as San Antonio, Houston, and Nashville. Don't have too much to say about our company other than I hope y'all are seeing us around town, all the great things that we're doing. Thanks, y'all.
All right. Next up, we've got our speaker today. I had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman about a little more than a year ago. In the short time that I met with him, I learned pretty quickly that he's very, very passionate about this city, and he is steadfast and determined to make some meaningful and impactful change with the Development Services Department, and specifically navigating the site development permitting processes. So if y'all could please just put your hands together for Director José Roig.
So first of all, congratulations to all the new officers. That's amazing. And thank you for the Austin chapter for the invite. Excited to be here. It's a good day to be in Austin. And it's a good day to be among so many engineers, so many smart people. That's amazing. I love it. So yeah, it's a little bit about what we do in the city of Austin. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy that event next Friday. You're gonna go to the best building the city has. I'm biased. No, it's a great event. It's a great place to be, and definitely will welcome you there. So I know upon myself will be there too. So that's amazing. So a little bit about development services. You got that bio in the brochure, so that's not important. But I've been with the city for 17 years. As a matter of fact, today, the 17th of September, is my 17-year anniversary with the city. So, yes. So a couple of things that we want to talk about today is basically an overview of how we are responding to the community's need, and we're going to go a little bit about how we actually find out what the community needs were, and how we've been going through transforming the site plan review process in the city of Austin and development services. Also, we're going to talk about how we're going to move forward in the future and be in the cutting edge of technology. We have some amazing stuff coming up, and I know a lot of you love the software and technology that we have in the city, right? So we're gonna get better, but that's one thing that we have in plan for the department. So responding to the community's needs. I mean, I always look at our development services, and I'm passionate about what I do because I believe in our mission. We are here to steward the development. We are basically the gatekeepers of the development. When you come to development services, you submit the application. It so happens that when we take it, we distribute that among the departments that actually do the work in the city and not involved in the process. But we are the stewards of that process. So first of all, we are committed to the safety. That's our main goal. Committed to the safety of the community, committed to the safety of the environment. But as you know, we have to comply with different laws, right? And that includes local codes, that includes technical codes, and the regulations that we have in the city of Austin. So we have some lanes that we have to work with between. And as you know, we handle everything from review, permitting, the inspection, and last year we actually consolidated the co-compliance department, which I was the director of that, into the ASCE. And that actually brings a different perspective because those two functions work together. So now we have everything in one place, and we can do many things by having both sides working together. Like I say, together, working for a better and a safer Austin. We have about 700 employees, that includes full-time employees and temps. Beautiful to show the city wasn't there. But we ensure the safety of the Austin environment, and that's what we do in development services. Making sure that all the structures are in compliance with these laws. I mean, so that's the framework that we have for that. And I'm sure you all know about these, right? We have the land development code, which is very simple, right? very straightforward. No conflicts, right? No. So yeah, we do have that in the city. It's been a land development code that has been in the works for many years, since the 80s. Couple of efforts to update it were not successful. And as you know, our policymakers will try to make some adjustments in some areas and so on. The most recent ones are the home amendments, the land development code, but that's what we have. We also have the zoning, specific to the project side. So when you're dealing with something with a piece of land. That's one part of that actually regulates the zoning. But we also have the other side of this, which is the horizontal construction, which is when we use the building and the technical codes. In the city of Austin, we actually adopt the International Code Council codes for building both commercial, residential, and the Uniform Plumbing Code and the Uniform Mechanical Code. And we also have, once we got the codes, the development code, and all that stuff that is basically the technical side, we also have the criteria manual, which is also straightforward, right? Yes. Basically what it does, it actually tells the staff how to apply the code. So, we been working really hard to make sure that we don't add more regulations on those manuals. We have a team of people now that we created. It's called the TARP. Joy, do you remember what is the technical advisory review something? Panel, technical advisory review panel. And it's a group of people that from staff and outside stakeholders, and I know some of you may be part of this, to review these regulations that we have in the technical criteria manuals, so we don't have these conflicts, and then we can review those and make sure that they don't conflict with the codes. On top of that, we have, of course, our SOPs, interpretations, and then we have priorities in the city. As you know, housing is a big deal, smart housing. So all these things actually have priorities, and they take precedence when we actually do the review process, especially the schools, anything that has to do with mobility, capital improvements, and things like that. Just to give you an idea, this is the framework that we have to work within, right? That's what we have. Now, on top of that one, to add to the complexity, we have all these people involved in the process. So when somebody complains about development services, we have all these departments that I have to deal with, right? We are the leaders on the end of the process, right? But we have all these people that are actually involved, utilities, watershed, parks and recs, the law department. So everybody has a piece of the pie in the review process. The bigger one is that we have in DSD. We have the review process, but we also have to coordinate and work together with these departments to make sure that we have everything together. So based on that, we know we have to collaborate. We basically are the administrators of the process, and it's easy to actually come to us. One thing that we've been doing now, mostly in DSD, is that we want to hear what are the issues that we actually finding out with this situation, so we can actually bring it up to the different directors, and we can actually escalate the process and make sure that we don't have all these conflicts that we've been finding out in the process. So working together, last year we started a process to transform the site plan review, and I think this is the most important thing for civil engineers, because we basically deal with the civil site and the site plan. So in April of last year, we commissioned an independent assessment of the site plan review process. Many of you were involved. I see many familiar faces here that were involved in that process. And by the month of August, we developed a final report on that. Couple of things that we found out. Let me tell you about that. Couple of high-level findings. One of the things I found out is that both internal and external customers were frustrated with the process. It was telling when they actually shows a slide that show the stakeholders and the staff, and they show the life of the process. And the way they depicted this was with frown faces and smiley faces. And you can see that both at the same time were frustrated with the process. Why? Many reasons for that, right? So we saw that low internal and external satisfaction with the process. A couple of things that we heard from the stakeholders and also the staff is that the city regulations are extensive, they are complicated, and they change very often. Another thing that we heard is that the processes are complex, requiring over 250 staff to administer and over 4,000 hours of staff time per week. And everybody agreed that operational excellence capabilities needed to be improved, and that we needed to improve the performance from both a staff turnover and technology challenges that we have. So based on that feedback, this assessment came out with about 45 initiatives that would improve the customer experience. And that was the goal, to actually find those things that would actually make an impact on your experience with development services and the process. So we went through that. And as a matter of fact, if you go to the website, you can actually find a link to this site, the transformation site, and you can find all the initiatives there, also with the status of those initiatives. To this day, we have completed 23 of those. They have been completed. Those that are close, we found out that were maybe duplicates, or they could be addressed by the other ones, so that's why they're closed. It's not that we didn't do it, it's just that they are included in the other ones. And we have about 19 right now in progress. Some of those that are in progress right now are dependent on technology. How many of you are familiar with the Manta system? Love Manta, right? So I'm one of the biggest critics of Manta. So anyway, I've used it for 17 years. I started in the city as an inspector, so I've used the system in many levels. And finally, last month, we closed an RFP for a new system. So we can see some movement now. We have vendors coming in. So in the next 4 months or so, we're going to be evaluating those. And then we're going to go into selection of the new software. And then eventually we'll go into implementation. So it's going to take some time, but I'm here to tell you there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's not a train coming at us, right? So anyway, so we have completed that. I'm really big on technology. I think that we, the city of Austin, need to be at the forefront. We are we have all the bigger companies here for technology. So why we have an outdated system? And many of the things that we found out on the engagement with you as a stakeholder, it has to do with limitations on that system. For example, one of the things that I heard very clear from many engineers and people that submit the plans is that they submit the plans and then it goes into this black box. We don't know what's going on. Right? There are comments, the reviews happening, but you don't know anything until you get the master comment at the end. So there's not even Domino's pizza knows when the pizza is ready. It's going to the oven, it's going to the oven. So it's funny because my assistant was like, why don't we do a pizza tracker? So it's like, we call it the pizza tracker, but it's true. If I can provide you with something, if I can, I know we have a process to review, but if you know ahead of time, hey, I got that comment, I can address that right away instead of waiting for the end. But I can actually contact that reviewer and address that comment. Maybe it's a page that is missing or some information that is missing, and I can provide that. I can accelerate the process. So we worked really hard on that one, but we found out that in the current system that we have, it's very difficult to do. It doesn't have the capability. So we're trying to do a workaround on that one, in a way to provide rolling comments on an email, so you know exactly when they're happening, and then you can have that information. You can actually start working on the plans and contact that reviewer. So that's one thing that we heard very clear, but it's also limitations. So some of these things that you see in progress right now, they do require some investment technology that we are actually doing, and we are looking at how AI, and I'll talk a little bit about that at the end, AI can actually help us out on this process. So a couple of things that we do, that we did. I want to highlight these because these are I think the most impactful initiatives. Continuous improvement, the Land Development Academy, the customer service standards, the completeness check, the new case manager protocol that we have, and the common report experience. So on those, I will tell you that these are the ones that actually created the most impactful changes. One of the things that we did internally is actually we have new KPIs, the key performance indicators. One thing that we found out is that we were not measuring things correctly. Maybe because we didn't have the right data to actually do it, but we were not measuring things correctly. So we have developed a standardized set of performance that actually is helping the manager see how is the team working out on these reviews, and actually provides the right information so they can actually, improve and see how they can, it reflects on their work, and they also solicit the feedback from the stakeholders. So that's a great thing. Tools, you can find those KPIs in the website that we have for the site plan process. A couple of things I have a list here of those KPIs. For example, we are now measuring the number of days for the initial formal review, the number of days for subsequent formal review, the average days that it takes for the formal review. So in that way, we can see how much time we are spending in these plans, and if we are meeting the deadlines that are in place. So we didn't have that information before. So that's something that is actually giving us the information. One thing that we're also measuring is the average customer days in formal review. So one thing that we heard sometimes, it takes so long to actually get it done, but we may review it, and once we give it to you, then it's in your hands, right? So we actually measuring that time too, so we can tell this time is actually with the staff, this time is actually with the customer. So we are taking care of that one too. So basically, we have set up it's about 7 KPIs that we put in place, so we can actually report back to our council members too, and the mayor, and see how we are improving the process overall in the city. This one right here, I think I know is let's see right here. Okay, the completeness check. We heard many complaints about this one. Very complicated, many pages of completeness check. So we updated that. We updated the checklist to really reflect what needs to be submitted at the completeness check. We want the completeness check to be a completeness check, not a review process. We heard that. So we have that in place, and that's one of the things that I think is going to create some significant impact on the review process. The master comment report was redesigned. You can see an example of that in there. So it's easier to read, and it provides the right information. So we updated that. We did that in conjunction with the stakeholders. We have people looking at it. So the recommendation that you see here is from your peers. So it's not just staff. So don't blame me if you don't like it. But we redesigned that one. So the new design, for example, it features an updated cover and a new comment templates to one of the things that we heard, consistency. We're getting comments from one department that are in conflict with what other department says. So we are looking at those conflicts and trying to resolve those and make sure that we have the right comments on that report, not just a template, or a comment just to get it out of the way. So that's one thing that we work on. Another thing that we heard is the need to have a dedicated case manager. It would be nice if you go into the process and you actually interact with one person, and that person can take you from the beginning to the end, and you don't have multiple contacts in the city to actually deal with the process. That was also that came out from engaging with the stakeholders. Right now, we are piloting this on the housing side of it. It's working really good. We heard some really good feedback. It's going to take us some time to expand that to everything because we'll need the staffing. But I think that it's a good plan, and I think that it's actually, if we can take the project from cradle to grave, and have one contact for the applicant to have that process in place, and that person is actually empowered to contact anybody on the local departments and actually find those issues and actually get them back to you in a timely manner. So that person is actually empowered to actually contact everybody that is involved from the other departments that you saw on that list, so they can actually deal with the case. I think that's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to expand that one into more things in the city. Let's see. This one is really close to my heart. This is one thing that when I came on board last year, my thinking on this one is I think the pandemic did something to us that will never be the same. One of the things that I did, it actually kind of, people forget how to connect, you know? I remember going back to the office after the pandemic and people didn't even know how, do I shake the hands? Do I bump? Do I do this? Do we hug, right? So it was awkward. Now we hired people through the pandemic, so all they knew was being behind a computer, behind a camera. So I think the customer service actually was effective. So when I came on board, I said, we need to create something that we need to change this culture. We need to make sure that we are customer centric, that we are providing the right thing, and we're doing this right now as part of the initiative for transforming the site plan. So we asked all the departments that understaffing that are involved in the site plan development process to implement, to train, and to really exercise these qualities right here. So in TSD, we expanded that. So not only for the site plan review teams, I said, no, we need to do this for the whole department. The other departments, we only ask them, the people that are dealing with the site plan, but we are expanding these customer service standards. So I want to really hone into this because when you interact with my staff, this is what I expect and this is what you should expect. And if you're not getting this, let me know. But we also tie this to the awards and recognition. So when somebody reflects those qualities, let us know, right? So we can recognize that with the staff. The same way you will complain when somebody doesn't do it, let me know when somebody, oh, you know what? The staffing was really consistent on this one, they met the commitments, they build a relationship with me, they communicate in a clear manner. They actually found a way to communicate with me. Let me know so we can actually provide that feedback to the staff. What you can see is actually built in consistency, connection, and credibility. So we launched this already. We trained the staff, and we are continuing this. It's actually something that we want to build in the culture of the department. Other changes that we have done in the last year, we have new protocols for common resolution. That's a common complaint that I heard. You guys get the comments. There was a conflict. Austin Water says something, Austin uses something else, and how we resolve this, right? So we are finding a way to get a protocol for that, for the review and the new comments. So these changes it's going to ensure that we continue moving forward with the process. The Land Development Academy, we already have some stuff already out there. That's a wonderful training program that we have put in place with the staff, so people know what to expect. How do I go through the development process? I know it's complex, So we are expanding that. We are providing education. It's actually video on demand, so you can actually go and check it out. So that's already in place, and we are meeting with the other departments, something that wouldn't happen before. But the staff that is working in the site plan, they have these cross-departmental meetings, and that's part of the continuous improvement culture that we are building in. So it's not just we're going to meet, we're going to coordinate. It's trying to find a way to make it better every time. So how can we make this better every time? And with the continuous improvement mindset, they meet, they find the issues, they find solutions, and we are empowering staff, which are the experts in the process, to actually find the solutions. If you've never been to PDC, when you go on Friday, you'll see that in the lobby. That's what I love that place. So technology, that's a big one. A lot of things depend on that. We need the right technology in place. And for many years we've been, I don't know, I think it's because maybe we invested so much money in Amanda system that we kind of scared to touch it. But right now we are in the process of improving that. So we recognize we have an outdated system. It has been identified as a barrier to efficiency in many ways. It's interesting that many times when we want to do something, Amanda cannot do it, right? So we try to find a way around it. We have to get more staff to do something. So we're trying to get that done. So I'm hopeful on that one. In addition to that, we are looking to see how AI can actually help us out. So we try to embrace anything that is out there. I'm actually part of the International Code Council Board of Directors. I actually interact with people all across the nation and outside the United States. So I'm trying to find out the best practices, right? How people are doing the technology in the cities. And we are finding out many things that, we can put in place. Permitting systems, GIS, virtual reality education tools. We have actually, we're using that for code right now. So we're using a company that we can use the VR headsets, and an inspector can go into the house and find violations and code things and without even going to the place. So we are improving on that. We want to expand that. Online wizards, that's something that we put in place. And all these things that we can see, smart city as a smart city. Also needs to be a smart city, right? So one of the things that we are working really hard on that one is how we can use AI to streamline the permitting process. So we connected with this company called Headquartered. I don't know if you have heard about it, but they're from Australia. And we did a pilot program with them this year. And we finally signed a contract to implement the system in the next 3 years. But it's amazing. They can actually take all the regulations from the land development code, and we are going to do this in the residential side first. And you can take a look at the piece of land, and if you have something already designed, you can plug it into that piece of land, and AI will actually tell you all the regulations that are in place, if you have the right setbacks, floodplain, heights, everything that is, they can do about 80% of the review process with the software. So we always gonna need the human side of it, but in the residential side, it's very complex now. So we can actually do that. The software can actually give you ideas on what to build in that piece of land. So not only if you have a plan, they can actually review it, but also can give you ideas of what can be done with all the regulations in there. This year, this company also engaged with the International Code Council to use AI on the technical side. So we're going to see how that works, and the city of Austin is actually part of that program. So I'm excited about that one. I think it's going to be a great technology to implement. And this is not going to take anybody's job. People say, oh, no, am I going to lose my job with AI? No, you're not. AI is not going to take your job, but somebody that understands AI, man. So we cannot stay behind. We need to really see what's out there, see what's available. And as you know, as engineers, there was a time that we couldn't find engineers anywhere to actually do the work, right? So you never know, staffing issues and things like that. So if we can actually find all these efficiencies and we can actually handle the fluctuations in development process. Right now, we see a decline on development process in the city of Austin, but we expect the economy to go back up. Interest rates will go down, and we're going to see development back up again. So how can we deal with those fluctuations in the process and actually make it more, make it easier for the staff to do the review? That's what we're looking for. So with that, that's my contact information today. I'm going to open up for questions because I know we have time. I didn't want to, dog this down with too much of a presentation, but I'm opening up for questions. And if you have anything from me, Joy Lee is going to answer the questions. Any questions? Any comments? How's your experience so far? Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. Are there any initiatives to make it easier for approvals of like newer green technologies, newer treatment products, stuff like that, where there's some things we can use elsewhere, but we can't use in the city of Austin, where it might make sense?
Yes. Well, if you have anything, one thing that the city of Austin will have seen is that as a city that is actually doing everything, all this construction, everything that is new, they want to try it in Austin. So yes, if it's on the technical side, we can work to environmental compliance. If you can show that you can meet the code requirements by doing something alternate that is new and cutting edge, so we can do that. It may not be described in the code as it is, but if it's something new that you're trying, we can have a conversation and then see which department is the one that needs to be involved, and we can have that coordination and look at that. On the technical side, it's actually easier because the building official actually do environmental compliance. On the land development side, we're fighting some old ideas and old regulations, but I think the city of Austin is in the position to be, progressive and really look at this technology that are out there right now, so I'm hopeful that. Yes.
So one of the ideas was to send us comments as they're coming in from their reviewers via email. And then another one was to have a case manager review the comments for conflicting comments. How would those two interact? Would we potentially receive comments and then revised comments? I know it's in the works, but I was just curious if y'all had started thinking about
Yeah, you
that.
wanted that one? I don't know what we're supposed to do here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Drake Swimming. I think I've worked with a lot of people in here. In case you've seen my name and wondered what the heck is a Drake, it's me. So I think the question was the difference between the rolling comments that we talked about and the final ones here. So the idea behind the rolling comments is still that you would get the email as in real time, essentially. But at the same time, the MCR master comment report is still going to go out, and the idea is that the update should still wait for the MCR. But what the rolling comments allows you to do is kind of get ahead of it a little bit, reach out to the individual reviewer if there are questions about it. The reason we still want the MCR to go out first is because there might be plan changes that are required by one review discipline that might affect other review disciplines. So we want to keep one cohesive plan set that is reviewed. But I think the rolling, as a former applicant before joining the city, I will say the idea of the rolling comments is kind of exciting to me. I mean, it'll kind of help set expectations for you as the applicant.
Yeah, and on the case manager, yes, they actually take a look at the comments and ensure that, everything is in place. If there's any conflicts, they can actually escalate those conflicts right away. So that's the idea of having a case manager. And then if you find something, you can communicate with that person specifically instead of trying to find out who was the reviewer, what department, who do I call, who do I send an email. So that's the advantage of having a case manager. So I'm looking forward in the future to have that for everybody. Okay, sir.
Yeah, I talked about working with partner departments. I also think about some of the auxiliary processes like AULCC. Are there any intentions to formalize that process? Because there's a lot of different partner groups, third party, dry utility companies, and all the other people that we have to kind of wrangle together. And it could definitely use some formalizing.
I know it was actually included in one of the initiatives. I know they're working on something to actually coordinate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just add that, specific to AULCC, there might not have been a specific initiative, but I think what came out of this whole process improvement idea is to look at everything. Look at where there are gaps to fill. And we're still working through that. AULCC has been defined or has been pointed out as an issue. And so we are certainly working with, even AULCC has several departments involved in it. So, and that are involved in some of the other initiatives. So we're looking at that process as a whole, but it's not specific to an initiative. This was more day-to-day in the site plan process specifically for now.
Going back with it.
We touched on line to release cycle. In what format are the ability to run that application submitted?
So the AI review is not in place yet. It's not in place. We did a pilot. The idea is that when we get it in place, it's something that is available to the customer, so they can actually interact with the system as a service. And then when you interact with the system and you pass that review from the system, then you can take that report and submit that with the plans to the city. In that way, you can also verify that the software actually look at the plans. So I think the idea on the AI, once we get it in place, is that it's a service for the customer that you can utilize, and see if your plans actually meet the requirements, so you can actually do all these checks before we can have that formal submittal to the city. It's gonna be like a nice tool to have right up front. And then I'm telling you, we did the pilot and it's something, the technology is amazing, and the way they want to extend it is just incredible.
Was the pilot looking at PDF or a DLG?
What is that?
Was the pilot program was looking at a PDF of the design or DLG?
It was a PDF. You can look at PDF and can use BIM. I mean, you can use, if you have anything electronic, you can just submit it. And they added the capability of looking at the PDF and take that from there and actually using the system. So you can use both. Yeah. Yes, sir.
May I ask a question about inspections?
Yes, sir.
Or not at this time?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
City of Austin
See
used
if I
to
can
have,
actually, answer the question, but yeah.
City of Austin used to have dedicated inspectors. Electrical inspector, framing inspector, plumbing inspectors.
Correct.
Okay, now, what I'm told is the inspector who shows up is the inspector. So I could use, and I've already had a framing inspector inspecting an electrical job. When are we going to go back to dedicated inspectors, or are we?
Okay, so that's a good question. So on the residential side, for single family houses and family houses, they train inspectors to become combination inspectors. Before, it used to be building inspector, mechanical and plumbing, used to be one inspector, and somebody with electrical inspection. Now, we are training the staff to do all four trades in one. They actually assign to an area, but they, in the residential side, we can have a combination inspector that can do all trades. They have to train to do that. They are authorized by the code to do that. Not all of them are doing that right now. We only have a few combination inspectors, but that's the goal, to actually get combo inspectors. On the commercial side, you still have separate trades. On the commercial side, you're gonna have a building inspector, you're gonna have a framing inspector, electrical and plumbing. There shouldn't be any person doing framing and electrical, the same, but only in residential side, we have to do combo inspectors. You have any issue with that? Are you
I'm
not?
sorry, I left my hearing aid at home today,
Okay.
I missed part of the word.
Okay,
But
are you having some issues with the inspection on that, or?
yes, we've already had situations where the electrical foreman on the job had to try to explain to the inspector what the inspector was looking at.
That's interesting. Okay, that's good to know.
And the inspector was quite confused, therefore was ready to reject the job. And finally backed down simply because, I guess because of the strength of the electrical foreman. But the inspector should have known what he or she was looking
They
at.
should know what they're looking at. That's the intent, that one person in one trip could be efficient enough to actually do all trades in a single family house, so. Anything else?
So y'all rolled out the PPR process, the public review process about 10 months ago or so in the full force. What's the initial feedback that y'all are hearing on that?
It's working really good. The feedback is really good. I mean, they're actually working on mostly public projects, on housing priorities. So far, it's working out. Having the dedicated team. One thing I like about that team is that they actually look at the 30, 60, 90 review. So getting a team early on in the process can actually address some of these issues. So when they get to the 60, 90, it's actually you get a better review process. So far the feedback has been really good. So we'll see. Yes.
For development in the ETJ, I read that there's a lot of people that are opting out
Yep.
of the jurisdiction. What is your input on that? Are you concerned, or are we looking to change the code to avoid some of this, or?
That's political.
That's why I waited till the end. I wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see that. I mean, and the problem is when we lose the environmental regulations mostly, in those areas. It is allowed by the state law. We've been trying to work with neighborhoods, but Austin has its own environmental issues and water quality and things like that. And some people are just opting out because they don't want to comply with that. They want to comply with whatever the county says. I mean, here or there, it's like, is the code going to change? Is Austin going to water down the environmental regulations to keep the ETJ in place? I doubt it. So it's going to be a battle. I know the staff did report to the legislature recently on that, and I know citywide thinking, we're standing firm on what we believe the state of Austin to be.
Thank you.
All right. With that, Thank you very much. I mean, yeah, I want to you get to the BDC, feel, free to say hi. I'm maybe soon around on Friday and just see most of you there, but I mean, just connect with me and, anything I can do to help you out, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Director Roig. Head count for today,
There's me online and
68 people total. All right, thank you all very much for coming out. As they mentioned, please consider sponsoring for some of these upcoming events. It helps us do all the great things that we do in the community and for the kids and all the future engineers. So thank you all and have a good rest of your day.